Hi, American Literature students. So today you guys are going to be starting to write a 5-paragraph essay, which you will finish tomorrow. I'm going to be scheduling a meeting for tomorrow during class time from starting around 11:20. So if you guys have any questions about how to organize your essay or what to do, you can ask me then. So basically, this first passage, as you guys noted in your annotations yesterday, was kind of about how technology is bad for our health. It's bad for fitness, right? Like basically how technology has this sort of negative impact on society. Of course, getting fit with tech is all about the opposite, right? How smartwatches and various things like that have helped us become more active and more fit and more healthy. So it's kind of two different takes on the same overall topic of technology and fitness and health. So what you guys are going to be doing today is you guys are going to be starting to kind of think about how to organize your essay, getting a plan together, and then you'll actually probably be writing it tomorrow. So you've read both of these texts, and it says currently a debate exists between those who feel that the dominance of technology in our everyday lives inevitably poses a major health risk, and those who argue that technology instead actually creates powerful new ways to stay fit. So you're going to be thinking about that, weighing both sides, and then you'll write an argumentative essay supporting one side of the debate. Now, here's the thing that gets a little tricky. You need to make sure that you are using evidence from both texts in your argumentative essays, okay? So I'm going to be kind of talking through what you need to do in each of your paragraphs, what I'm going to be looking for, how you're going to be graded, and things like that. Here's kind of a checklist. So before you write, make sure to do these things. And then as you write, here's some things that you should be thinking about as well. So let me go ahead and go to your rubric for how you're going to be graded, and then I'll kind of talk through what you need to do in each one of your paragraphs. So in your introduction, what I would suggest you do is effectively sort of introduce your claim. To do that, I would talk about how technology has sort of changed and in what ways people use technology in their everyday lives. Like engage your audience by talking about the relevance of your topic and how technology has changed in our modern society. I would also talk about both sides of the debate. So when you're choosing which side you want to be on, I would choose the side that you feel has the most evidence to support, because that's going to make it easier for you to write. So if you think there's more evidence in that first passage that talks about how technology is not a good thing, then that would be what your argument is. If you think the opposite text has more evidence, then I would go with technology is a good thing, right, and helps our health. So kind of weigh both sides, figure out which one you feel like has the most evidence, go with that one. In your introduction, I would kind of talk about both sides of the debate. So talk about how, some people argue this about technology, right? So you could say some people argue that the negative effects of technology, and then you could say, however, and kind of talk about the positive side of it. But basically, I would kind of talk about both sides of the debate somehow in your introduction, right? What some people think on one side, however, what the reality of it is and what your argument is on the other side. By the end of your introduction, I should know what your main argument is and which side of the debate that you were on. You don't necessarily have to have a thesis statement where you list like 3 reasons, but I should be very clear about what you think about technology and sort of why you think that, okay? All right, so as you're organizing your essay, make sure that you go back and add some transitions, okay? We've talked about before, like in your first sentence in each one of your body paragraphs, have some sort of transitional word or phrase where you're connecting ideas from one paragraph to the next. Also, let's talk about supporting evidence, because this is going to be a little bit different than the informational paper that you guys wrote about student debt a few weeks ago. You are going to be heavily focusing on the evidence from the passage that agrees with you, okay? However, you do need to include some evidence from the opposing side and then argue against it. It's what's called basically like a counterclaim. So what I would suggest that you do is I would suggest that you have 2 paragraphs where you really, really focus on your side of the argument, okay? Focus on how either technology is helping our health and our fitness and whatever, or how it's harming our health and our fitness and whatever, and use some specific facts from the article. Now, I would also say, please, please, please make sure that you are not including long quotes, okay? At this point, you guys really should be summarizing a lot of the evidence or paraphrasing the evidence, putting it in your own words, and then just telling me which passage you got that, fact from. So passage 1 in parentheses. If you want to have one quote per body paragraph, you can. You don't necessarily have to. I like to see 2 pieces of evidence in each one of your body paragraphs, so 6 total. But what I really like to see is you paraphrasing most of the evidence in your own words. If you want to include, like I said, 1 or 2 quotes in all of your body paragraphs, that's like total, that's fine. But don't have more than 1 quote per body paragraph. And really, I would advise you guys to just paraphrase most of your information if you can, because by paraphrasing it, you're kind of showing that you understand the content, and it's a little bit more sophisticated than if you just drop a quote in, okay? So again, paraphrase as much as possible, include 2 pieces of text evidence in each one of your body paragraphs. I think that you guys can figure out the first and second because that's really focused on what your argument is, and you're focusing on that one article that is supporting you when you're pulling facts. Now, you also need to include evidence from the opposing argument. So here's how you're being graded. Relevant and sufficient facts develop claim and counterclaim. So you need to talk about the counterclaim, what it is, why they think what they do. It says acknowledges strengths and limitations of evidence, aware of audience. So what I would suggest you do is have your third body paragraph be what I call a counterclaim, okay? So what you would do, I'll give you kind of an example. If you are arguing that technology overall is like bad for our health, okay, you would say something like, on the other hand, the second passage talks about how fitness can actually help, people's health, and then you would explain the ways in which technology could maybe help, someone's health, right? You want to give some specific evidence from that passage. After you do that, and you do need to explain, like it says acknowledges strengths and limitations of evidence. So give them a little bit of credit. Say, that this is true in some cases, right? That certain watches or, fitness technology can motivate people can motivate some people to become more fit. However, and then you're going to argue your side, okay? So after you give what the opposing argument believes and some evidence to back them up, and you give them a little bit of credit, saying, this is true in some cases, then you're going to argue against it. You're going to say your side. So that's where you present, some evidence maybe from the opposite article that kind of counters that, and you're going to explain that basically maybe some people might purchase these devices to be more fit, but essentially that the majority of technology users aren't going to use it in that way, and here's why, and give some evidence from the other article. So again, I'm not saying that you have to do it that way. I mean, you might be arguing the opposite, right? That technology does help us become fit, and then the counterclaim would be the opposite. I just kind of gave you guys a broad example of how to do that. But make sure that you are in the third body paragraph. You need to talk about what the opposing argument is, okay? Talk about some of their evidence, give them a little credit, okay? Say that this is true in some cases and kind of explain why. And then you'll say something like, however, argue against it, present some other facts, and kind of explain why that's not true in all cases. That way you are acknowledging the strengths and limitations of the evidence, and you're presenting facts from both sides, okay? And that's really, really important. So again, I will have a meeting tomorrow where I can help you guys with the counterclaim paragraph. If you're confused about that or how to organize that, please let me know. But that is important that you talk about both sides of the argument, that you include evidence from both texts, okay, or both articles. All right. Another few things that you're being graded on, make sure that your tone and style is formal and objective, okay? Also make sure you're not including lots of like first person pronouns like I, me, we, our. Try to take those out. You and your, don't have a lot of those. Just keep it kind of formal, like a formal paper. You guys know how to write those and what that means. Make sure that your conclusion should kind of sum up what you think and why, and make sure that it's not, you don't want it to be super repetitive. So I might talk about maybe even the significance of your topic, how basically technology, has changed our lives and how it's changing maybe even our lives in the future. But again, it should kind of logically follow from the argument presented and not be too repetitive. Make sure that your sentence structure, you have some range and variety. Don't say this proves, this shows, this demonstrates 15 different times. Like, make sure that you're varying your sentences, how you start out your sentences length. You might have some that are short, some that are long. Make sure that you take out any repetition, that sort of thing. Also, make sure that you consistently attribute your paraphrases and quotes to your sources. So when you guys are summing up, like I said, I want to see a lot of paraphrasing of your evidence. When you paraphrase, tell me whether that's passage 1 or passage 2, or make sure that that is clear. Don't just give evidence and then not tell me where that's from. And then with grammar, make sure that you don't have any grammar errors that interfere with meaning. So make sure there's no misspelled words. Make sure, like, if there's a couple of comma errors, things like that, not a big deal. Just make sure that for the majority of the part, you don't have many grammar errors that interfere with any meaning. So this is how you are being graded. Okay, I am going to count this as a test grade because it is a 5-paragraph essay and it's EOC practice, so it's important. What I will say is this, guys, you've got all day today and all day tomorrow. This is not going to be due until midnight tomorrow. If you have questions about how to organize your essay, if you have questions about how to write your essay, if you have questions about how I'm going to grade you, email me, set up a meeting. I can do a one-on-one meeting with you guys and I can talk you through what you're thinking and your ideas. I've got plenty of time to do that and I'd be happy to help you in any way that I can. Make sure that you're not waiting until after 3:30 tomorrow because I'm here until 3:30 every day. So make sure that you are, contacting me before tomorrow. So you don't have anything that is due today. Okay, this is due by tomorrow at midnight. You have all day today, all day tomorrow. I will not be grading these quite as harshly as I normally do. Okay, I will be giving you some feedback about, where I feel like, you could maybe improve or tweak things for the future just because this is a big portion of your EOC grade and I want you to be prepared for it and do well on it. But also, the student debt informational essays, I graded those pretty hard. These are going to be graded a little bit easier simply because I realize you guys are virtual this week. You're doing the best that you can, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for your best effort. I'm looking for, these things that I kind of talked about on the rubric, but just do the best that you can and let me know if you need help or if you're struggling organizing your essay or figuring out what to do. Big kind of takeaways, again, when you include evidence from your passages, don't include long quotes, okay? You will lose points for that. You need to paraphrase. Short quotes are fine, but really make sure that you're doing that effectively. Also, make sure that counterclaim is in there because you need evidence from both sides. Make sure everything is well organized, include those transition words, and I think you guys are going to do a fantastic job. I can't wait to read these essays. If you have any questions, let me know. And like I said, you have all day today, all day tomorrow. Reach out to me. Let me know how I can help you guys. Okay? Take care of yourselves. I can't wait to see you guys next week. I've missed you. All right. Bye.